This is Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, the viewer's guide to genre television for the weeks of June 2nd to June 15th, 2025.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Batchelder.
I'm Wendy Hembrock.
And I'm Brent Barrett.
All right, and welcome to this podcast. I hope you're going to enjoy some of the news and information we'll be sharing, discussion of some shows, our usual type fun that we hope you folks are going to enjoy along with us. And starting us off, we want to talk a little bit about a poll that is currently running on our Discord. Now, this will be finishing up probably right around the time that we release this episode. So if you're interested in this topic, do not delay. Jump right over and get your vote in if you are interested, and we'll share the final results on our next recording. But we're asking you, what is your favorite decade or decades? You could do multiple answers of genre television, with answers from the 50s all the way up to the 2020s. So we are incomplete as far as final votes yet, but it is very much bunched in the 90s to the 2010s, which shouldn't be a surprise, I don't think.
Well, I still have to vote.
Yeah. What are you going to vote, Wendy? Oh, don't tell us. Don't tell us. It's a secret ballot. Hey, and even if you missed the voting, drop by the poll discussion channel on the Discord. Let us know what you would have voted. And it's good. We're having some interesting conversations there about when certain shows were on the air and such. So pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's right now very much a toss-up between each of those decades. So your vote might be the one that pushes your favorite to the top. All right. With that all covered, let's get ready and let's move over to our spoiler-free water cooler.
Hi, I'm Mike White.
And I'm Rob St. Mary.
And we're the hosts of the Projection Booth podcast.
If you haven't heard of the Projection Booth, that's okay.
But we think it's time that you have.
We've been doing this for over 3 years now.
And we think we're doing a pretty good show.
Every week we look at a different film and put it in context.
We try to bring you interviews with the people behind the films.
Or experts on a subject matter covered in the film.
We don't specialize in any one particular genre or type of film.
We try to examine every aspect of cinema.
From every corner of the globe.
Even at 3 years, we barely just scratched the surface.
But we're ready. We're ready for you to listen to us.
That's right. Now's the time to give us a shot.
Download us through our free smartphone app.
Or through Stitcher, iTunes, Geek Juice Radio, Jackalow.
Or our website,
projection-booth.com.
We'll keep making great shows.
Now it's your turn to listen to them.
All right, kicking off the water cooler, we're going to do our quick reviews, as we always do. This is where we rate the shows that were on recently with ratings such as watch it now, watch it soon, let it sit, or you can skip it. And on this podcast, we're going to be looking at shows that aired between June the 2nd and June the 13th. Up first, we have the season 3 finale, episode 10 for Surreal Estate. This one was titled The Elephant in the Room. I would give it a very low watch it soon.
I have not seen this.
Yeah, I'm not watching.
All right, next we have Rick and Morty. We're in season 8. We have episode 3, The Rick, the Mort, and the Ugly, and episode 4, The Last Temptation of Jerry. Not a show I watch.
I did catch up and I watched these, and I would give them both a watch it soon.
I'd give the first one, the Outlaw one, the Western one, I watch it now. The second one, the Easter-based one or Easter-themed one, I'm teetering between a high watch it soon and a low watch it now. I'm just going to stick with a high watch it soon.
All right, excellent. All right, next show we have is The Librarians, the next chapter. We are in the first season here. We have episode 3, and The Ghost Train, and episode 4, and The Thief of Love. I would give these a watch it soon and a low watch it soon.
I haven't seen either of these.
Well, I'm a big time travel buff, so the first one I'm going to give a low watch it now. I really liked it. The second one, let's go with watch it soon.
All righty. Now we have Murderbot, 2 episodes, naturally. We're in the first season. Episode 5, Rogue War Tracker Infinite. And episode 6, Command Feed. I would give, these a high watch it soon and then a watch it soon.
I would give them both high watch it soon.
I'm not watching yet.
All right. And now we have Resident Alien back for its 4th season. We have the first 2 episodes here. The first one is Prisoners, and the second one is The Lonely Man. I would give them both very high watch it soons.
I would give the first one a high watch it soon, and the second one almost a low watch it now to very high watch it soon.
Yeah, I'm just going to go both high watch it soon. We'll like Kevin.
All right. We'll be talking about those later on. And finally, for shows to rate, we have the premiere on Sci-Fi of the show Revival. So first episode of the first season, entitled Don't Tell Dad. I would say for me, it's a very solid watch it soon, maybe a high watch it soon.
I have not seen this yet.
I did see it, and it is something we've seen before, as we speculated from the trailer. But I think it was done well. I'd say watch it soon.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that one later on as well. All right, let's move into some email and news items that we have. First off, we got, actually not an email, some Discord messages. Instinct said email. It was actually some Discord messages. Listener Doug I've had some conversations, and they have been awesome. They've reached out to offer some used DVDs to do some giveaways here. So we're working out some details, folks. So this is a bit of a tease, too, to let you know that we'll have something coming as we work things out a little bit on the detail side with Doug. But in his message, he did say that the reason why he's giving away these DVDs is he's not much of a rewatcher, so he's making some room, which we often will do, and he'd much rather have them go away to others who can enjoy them. And since he very much enjoys our podcast and had some compliments there, very much kind of paying it forward to our other listeners, which was a great thing. So appreciate that, Doug, and we'll get some details worked out for you folks soon.
Yeah, thank you, Doug, for this very generous offer for our listeners. He had offered them to us first, and if I didn't already have these DVDs, I would have been scooping them up.
Yeah, very impressive collection you're offering up, Doug. So thank you very, very much. Look forward to, like Kevin said, the details of how to enter some sort of a contest. We're just trying to figure out how now, right now, and what we're going to give away.
Classic tease, so stay tuned. All right, moving into our news item, Brent is going to share some great news about Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.
Great news, and news that is good, but some people might be sad about. Let's put it that way. With mixed emotions, in case you haven't heard, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is going to end with Season 5. Now, don't panic. Season 3 hasn't even debuted yet. So we're getting Season 3 starting on July 17th. And then production on Season 4 is already underway. And then production on Season 5, which is going to be a shortened 6-episode season, is going to begin later this year. So they've just announced ahead of time that they're going to wrap it all up with Season 5. That's fine in my book because it's a 5-year mission, right? And we have to get this show done before Kirk takes over, right? On TOS, before that timeline starts up. So it all makes sense to me. They've also released a trailer, an official trailer for Season 3 of Strange New Worlds. That's a really exciting trailer. I mean, it did a really good job of teasing where it needed to tease. I think it spoiled just a little bit, though, because if you have seen the end of Season 2 and you're on pins and needles waiting to see what happens on that cliffhanger, I would not recommend watching this trailer. But if you don't mind a little bit of spoilery stuff, maybe like who might survive, who might not, that sort of thing, then definitely check it out because it's really exciting and really fun. And like I said, it's going to premiere on July 17th.
Yeah, and for me, when I say good news in the sense that it gives the writers a fixed endpoint, and it's, as Brent said, it's not like it's this season or even next season. We've got a good amount of content, and 5 seasons, even with the 5th one being a shorter one, is a great run in today's streaming world. So I think overall, I'll gladly take the fact that we know we've got so much additional content coming. And as Brent kind of touched on too with the trailer, I don't want to use the word disappointed, but I was kind of maybe a little too overexcited, anticipation end for some really meaty and different kind of stuff. And the trailer's a little over a minute. It's not a beefy one, as we say. We'll often sometimes get 2 minutes or plus. And they do lead a bit to some of the stuff from where we were left hanging. So it's still good. I'm still very, very excited, but maybe they're going to drop one of those scenes or something else between now and middle of July. So
this was surprising news, but maybe not so much if you kind of know what's going on behind the scenes with the Paramount and CBS and all that. So I'm very glad that we have an endpoint to look forward to, and the writers can plan for that, and the cast and crew can be prepared for that. That's all a very positive sign for me. I really enjoyed this trailer. I wasn't bothered by kind of knowing things that will resolve from the end of the season 2. It was just fun to kind of, I'll say, run the bases with various crew, and definitely got me excited for what's coming. So I think it did its job.
Yes, I can definitely see that. All right, moving on. The next link we've got in the show notes for you folks, if you're a fan of The Sandman, the show that's coming back very soon, they released in the last week or so the titles for the episodes, the 11 entries that we know we're going to be getting in season 2. But they also let us know that there's going to be a bonus 12th episode that previously we weren't aware of that's going to focus specifically on one character. So if you are a fan and want to know that detail, by all means, follow the link in the show notes and find out a little more details. Like I said, ep titles. Some folks really like to know those, some don't. So it's there for those who want to take a look.
I think I'm the only one who watched Sandman for the first season, and I will watch this again. I won't spoil on our podcast if folks don't want to be spoiled, but it was nice to see the titles. I'm going into this with slightly mixed feelings because I wasn't blown away by the prior season, but I would like to see the resolution.
Yeah, I did see all of season 1. I generally enjoyed it as well. And I'm looking forward to season 2. Now, I believe we announced, didn't we, in the last podcast that they've said this is the final season. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Looking forward to how they're going to end it.
All right, next, we know Wendy's a fan of Foundation, and she's got some info on that.
Yes, we'll have a link in the show notes to the official trailer for season 3. And I mentioned the purpose of a trailer is to get you excited about watching a show, and I love this series. I'm very excited for the return. We got a new big bad introduced in the trailer, and it's played by an actor who Game of Thrones fans will recognize. It looks like we're going to have some interesting matchups and meetups across some of our characters. So that's exciting. For me, it's just exciting to see sort of the next level that they take the characters that we've come to know.
Very cool. If I ever do get Apple TV Plus, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, and I'm keeping Foundation on my radar since I now do have an Apple TV subscription as to whether or not to dive back in at season 2. Wendy has been telling me I should, so we shall see. All right, next up we got a trailer, finally an official one Brent's going to tell us about for Alien Earth.
Yeah, instead of just a sequence, CGI sequence of the gestation of the xenomorph, we got an actual trailer, or the teaser we had in the very beginning of just a shot of Earth and an alien ship. We got an actual trailer, and this one, at least part of it, seems to focus on a young woman who is dying, and her consciousness is transferred into one of the first, if not the first, true synth. If you remember the Alien universe, that they had synths. There was a robot in the very first Alien movie, a synth, and she's one of them. But they follow some other characters and show us some other stuff, which looks interesting. I have been a fan of this, this universe, and was curious about this show, and this trailer did its job. Come this August 12th on Hulu, FX, wherever you watch it, I'm going to be checking out Alien Earth.
Yeah, I've been talking for weeks or months about the fact I wanted to see a trailer with actual cast members rather than just the xenomorph or some of the other mood type ones. So it was great to get this, and it definitely looks like it's going to be, oh my goodness, what major issues going on. So looks very science fiction-y. Well, not that I didn't think it would be, but I don't know. Somehow this trailer made me feel a little more comfortable with it. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
Yeah, my reaction was similar. I was not feeling very comfortable from the prior trailery stuff, the teasery stuff that we had seen, because it didn't show me if we were going to have story or we were just going to have, maybe politics going on, meaning interpersonal stuff and not action, but it sure looks like we're going to have science fiction-y topics. We're going to have action and conflict. I'm definitely in.
All right. The next newer show, we've got some links for you that I want to touch on, is for the Disney show Ironheart. Now, this is coming, I think, as we've mentioned before, June the 24th. So this is an official trailer number 2 that they dropped, that you can take a look at there, a little over a minute. Now, this is a show that's only going to be 6 episodes, I believe. So it's not lengthy or, a lot going on there. Now, as someone who is not familiar with this character, the comics there, I also put in the show notes a link to what I thought was an excellent breakdown of the trailer from the folks at Screen Crush, which is a YouTube channel I greatly enjoy. I think they do a great job looking at shows and trailers and such. So if you're like me and don't have any knowledge there, this breakdown was very helpful. Not only did they give me more info on the character in the past, the comics, also they took a look at some items that are in the trailer and what they might mean. So I found it to really make me feel a lot more comfortable going into the premiere. So again, both links are in the show notes, folks.
Yeah, I was really not familiar with Ironheart, so this was an interesting trailer. It's also interesting because it's a short season and we're going to get half of it, 3 episodes on the premiere. So I hope that means that we don't have to wait 3 whole episodes for something to get going, but hopefully it's going to set up a lot of momentum for the back half.
Yeah, well, come June 24th on Disney Plus, I'm going to find out myself. I'm going to start watching the show. But yeah, I'm optimistic. I want this show to be successful. I want Marvel to, be the thing everybody wants to talk about again. Makes me very happy. But I'm also a little potentially a little worried because of how they're dropping it. And this is like one of the last shows now that were, I think, in production prior to the head of Disney becoming the former head of Disney and the former head of Disney becoming the new head of Disney and making the proclamation about how they were going to streamline Marvel stuff and they were getting too bloated and stuff. So, part of me is a little worried that this might be the last casualty of that, but I'm also pretty optimistic. I want it to go out, or not go out. I want it to be a banger. Yeah,
and for me, it's going to be interesting with almost no background. I mean, I'm just going to come in wide-eyed. And like you said, Brett, I hope it's just something we get to enjoy if in a very compressed timeline. All right, next up, Wendy's going to tell us about a new show coming to AMC.
Yeah, so we've talked in the past about how AMC is the Anne Rice channel, and Talamasca, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is another in the Anne Rice pantheon. And this is actually related story-wise to both of the other shows that are currently on AMC, The Interview with the Vampire and Mayfair Witches. The Talamasca is going to be 6 episodes, and it's going to premiere in October sometime, no specific date yet. And this story focuses on this secret organization that tracks and contains witches, vampires, werewolves, creatures. It's kind of like the Council in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, is my guess, because I have not read these and I'm not familiar. The cool thing about this show is the cast. 2 people that really popped out for me were Elizabeth McGovern, who plays one of the leaders of, I'll say, one of the nodes that is watching. It's based in New York City. And William Fichtner is another key person involved in running one of these outposts in London. So if I have AMC Plus at the time this comes out, I'll be watching it. I don't currently have AMC Plus, but I've had it in the past, and I might get it again sometime.
Yeah, as we're seeing with a lot of shows coming out lately, this is another one where the premise has been done before. Of course, we've seen it. But it looks fascinating. I don't know if it's enough. It doesn't seem original enough for me to want to try to get MGM Plus, so I might just wait and see what people, our listeners who are subscribed to MGM Plus, what they have to say about it.
Yeah, I think this one is on AMC, Brent. Because again, so many services to pick from. But yeah, I haven't been watching any of the other Anne Rice properties they've had there. So, but I did take a quick look at the trailer, and again, if you're into this universe, I mean, everything still looked very good in the trailer. So, we'll be curious to hear from those who are checking it out.
I'm sorry, I was looking at my notes for the Institute, the next article, and it says MGM Plus, so that threw me off.
Yeah, it's on AMC and AMC Plus.
I might be able to see it.
There you go. All right. Well, there you go, Brent. You led yourself in perfect. You got some info on the Institute.
I do have info on the Institute. The Institute is a new show. We have an official trailer for it. There's a 2-episode premiere on July 13th. It's going to be on MGM Plus, as I mentioned. It's a Stephen King based on Stephen King work. And the trailer talks about it being a 12-year-old genius who's kidnapped and is awakened at the Institute, which is a place full of children who pretty much all got to the way he did by being kidnapped, and they're all possessed of unusual abilities, as I say here. And then there's a nearby town. There's a police officer who's looking to start a new. All of this kind of makes me, honestly, I'll be completely brutally honest. It makes me think of this as being a show that's set at the facility where Eleven from Stranger Things was raised. You know, where they had a whole bunch of kids with all these powers. It looks like it's a show about that. But you know, I'm willing to be proven wrong. But I mean, that's the kind of the feeling I get from it.
Wow, now that you say it, I can't unthink it on that, but I understand why you said that, because, yeah, I did take a look at the trailer and was like, well, okay, unfortunately not a service I have and doesn't look strong enough that I'd want to take a look at it, but it's an excellent way to describe it, Brent.
Yeah, I had MGM Plus in the past to watch Beacon 23. I don't currently have it. The trailer was good. Brent mentioned the Stranger Things facility. My thought was sort of supernatural X-Men. It looked interesting. It doesn't look super original. The cast looked pretty good from the trailer, especially the young actor who's playing the lead. So again, this is one, if I have the service, I'll probably watch it, but I'm not probably going to have the service.
Yep, too many good choices.
I think that's a topic for a Tuner Minute. Why are we seeing so many trailers and shows that are just rehashing old formulas? Come on, guys.
Very true. All right, the final news item that we have to share with you folks I've got is a YouTube video for it's a clip from a animated movie that is currently available on Hulu called Predator, Killer of Killers. Now, as I said, this is on Hulu. It's a movie, not a TV show, but it is based in the Predator universe. It is animated. It is actually a movie that is an anthology. There are apparently 3 different Predator stories here from 3 different time periods. So if you're someone very interested in that universe or, you know, intrigued by what I just described there, as I said, this is something you definitely might want to check out.
So Predator is probably one of the franchises I'm least interested in. I watched this trailer and it reminded me that, yeah, I'm not really interested in this world.
I actually am interested in Predator. It's got a very interesting hierarchy and culture around the aliens. If all you've ever seen is the Predator movie, or maybe in a couple of them, you don't usually get it, but there's just something about their race that just really appeals to me, about their sense of honor and all of that stuff, and only fighting those who are armed and things like that. I just like that a lot. And what really got me interested in this, I saw it as I was browsing Hulu, but then later on our Discord, Denise posted saying that she had just watched the movie, and she says it was excellent. And she goes on to detail in our Discord describing why she thought it was excellent. But it is a movie that I am going to check out, definitely.
Awesome. Always helpful when our listeners let us know about some of the things they've seen, especially on the Discord. Appreciate that. Alrighty, well, we're going to finish out here with our Tuner Minute, as we do. This is one that's recorded by Wendy, and it's entitled, The Waiting is the Hardest Part.
We're experiencing very long breaks between seasons for shows. like 2 years or more. And for me, that's too darn long. It seems to be a formula for audience drop-off and failure. Maybe for these large, sprawling shows with large casts who may have kids who age quickly, instead of the slow burn over many years, perhaps the formula needs to change. For me, the waiting is the hardest part. After all, if we're on a break, who can blame a viewer for losing interest and moving on? Or maybe never joining?
Oh, you definitely touched on something that hits close to home for me. I've mentioned it many times on this podcast how kind of annoyed I am sometimes at how long of a gap there is between shows these days. Now, our friends over the pond in England, from what I understand, they've had this since like the 70s or maybe even the 60s, where they've had short seasons with long stretches in between, or series as they call them, long stretches in between series. So they're kind of familiar with this, but then they got a little more used to our model for a while, where things were happening every year, without a big gap between, and slightly longer seasons. So I'm wondering if any of them are old enough to remember what it was like before and what their thoughts were on that. But yeah, man, it's just so hard. I sometimes will hear about a show coming back and I'm like, what was that show? And then I'll kind of have to look at a recap and go, oh yeah, I saw this. I know I did, but I don't remember everything. Or I get really excited about a show and I want it to come back and it eventually comes back and I still remember it, but don't remember it well enough that I have to do research. Why should a viewer have to do work in order to watch the next season of a show? I don't like that. So yeah, I can rant on for days on this one, but I really wish, and part of it, obviously, it's a recent phenomenon, and I think a lot of it had to do with COVID, right? There were gaps that were caused by that. Then there were strikes after that, like an actors and a directors or a writer strike or whatever it was, that caused all of this stuff. I'm wondering if it's ever going to recover, though, and get back to every year having a new season for shows that have multiple seasons, or is this just the standard format from now on? Do we just have to wait potentially 2-3 years between seasons? I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to have almost everybody lining up right there with you with the pitchforks, Wendy, in terms of not liking this and its impact there for all the reasons you mentioned. I mean, the only thing that when I've had a conversation or two about this with someone that I just kind of bring out is, at least it's been happening now at a time when we have so much content that we can't watch it all anyway. So there are other things to go to, so I don't kind of feel like I'm totally being left with nothing to watch. That would be even worse. I mean, we know part of that, certainly when COVID started to drastically impact, everything in our lives, but getting a new entertainment. But, it's difficult. At least for me, I'm the guy who, even for shows I love, I tend to go back and want to do a previous season rewatch, or if it's a show that's only had a couple seasons, maybe a full series rewatch. So sometimes knowing I got a long time to get there at least gives me something, but it's only me trying to not have to look at the fact that it's been 2 or 3 years since we got that last season. And it's funny, Brent, you mentioned in your comments the idea of if this will become the new norm, although we had things like COVID and 2 different strikes in there. And I was watching an interview with Ben Stiller related to Severance, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in the back porch. And it was 3 years between seasons 1 and 2 of that show. But he was saying it's going to be coming back for a third. And he's like, no, we're doing everything we can to not have to have an extended time. That's not well for our viewers and for our industry and everything. So, I mean, certainly they recognize, or some of the folks in it, that that's not the way we should be trying to do it.
Yeah, the reason this came up, it was inspired by sort of an article we had where it was talking about the direction to make shows, I'll call them simpler, because supposedly viewers can't remember who the characters are and don't pay attention enough. We can't follow a complicated story, basically blaming the viewers for why they're not watching shows. And I think a huge contributing factor is these long periods, especially when you have a show that's, maybe got a complicated story or a lot of cast, and you're not as invested because maybe you're only invested in a couple of the characters as the slow molasses storytelling is unfolding. So there's a lot of factors in this. And for me, and I'm especially thinking about those big sprawling shows like Wheel of Time or Rings of Power or The Expanse, or going back even to Westworld, where it's like maybe the model really needs to be, we're going to go in production and we're just going to stay in production until the story's done. So it's almost like a soap opera model. Because if you're going to commit to those kind of shows and not end up pulling a Wheel of Time, that would be the thing that would probably help both the network that's running the show, because, you get people hooked in, and, maybe it's not running continuously like a soap opera, but it might have multiple short seasons to account for, all the post-production that has to happen. But that way you wouldn't have to deal with, your child actors are now in their 20s when they come back and those kind of things. And I mean, the reality is, for me, even just remembering the name of a show sometimes can be hard because we have some that are so similar. So it wasn't just about, filling the time between, but really rethinking about how a show should unfold. If it is something, particularly that has a large cast and maybe a story that is building over multiple years within the context of even the show.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of see, as you said, some of these things, as we know, we've got some big name stars that are now doing TV, and their availability can sometimes make it difficult scheduling, or big sprawling casts. Wheel of Time was a good one that might make that difficult. But for a lot of these other shows that aren't in that challenge area, are they going to be able to do it on a much more time efficient way? It's going to be interesting to see.
And the actors would prefer the breaks because they want to go do other things in between seasons, right?
Some of them have those opportunities, so yeah, they definitely want to take advantage of it. All right, well, let us know your thoughts, folks. Please feel free to stop by our Discord or send us an email or a voice message. I always love hearing from you folks on the Tuner Minutes and your view on them. With that covered, let's get ready to move over to our back porch where we can talk in detail on several recent shows.
Today we talk about Revival, Resident Alien, and Severance.
Up first on the back porch, I'm going to talk, or lead our conversation, I should say, about the new Sci-Fi Channel show Revival. So the premiere episode. This, for me, naturally was on my radar because the star of the show is Melanie Scrofano, Winona Earp. So much like with Surreal Estate, I knew when Tim Rozon was going to be the lead there, I'd be watching it, at least checking it out. And the same thing here. But this show, I got to say, and I've seen some comments on our Discord and other spots from this premiere episode. For some folks, they're intrigued, interested, like I am. Others, didn't work for them. They won't be going back. So I'm not seeing much in the middle so far, at least as far as comments. But the idea on this show, if you've seen this first episode or are wondering a little bit and don't mind some spoilers, the idea that a large group of folks, more than 40 of them in one specific town, who died between a certain 2-week period, have miraculously come back to life. So it's not, a zombie situation, although that's certainly the description a lot of people might use, but not one for this show. It's not very specific because the folks who come back to life, some of them don't even know they were dead, and you can't tell that they were dead. right from visuals. There are some ways this is being developed in the show. So the premise is interesting. Brent's done a good job, as we've touched on this show in the last few weeks or months, that we've seen some similar things to this before. But this is based on a comic. I've seen some good behind-the-scenes videos on the Sci-Fi YouTube channel talking a little bit about the comic, the folks who wrote it, kind of their approach to it. I mean, the show itself has got a bit of a horror vibe too, noir, a little bit in terms of what they're trying to set up. There's a family dynamic from the lead character that Melanie is playing, named Dana, the sister and a father and her son. So, I'm sure that's going to be a key part of it. So I think it's got some interesting bits there. It's going to be critical to see how this develops, what the total tone is. There's a little bit of, I wouldn't say it's comedy, but, you're going to have a laugh or two from some of the characters and the situations. And Mel certainly brings her facial expressions that'll always get a grin in terms of how she brings a character to life. So it's an intriguing start. I wouldn't say I love it yet, but it's certainly got me on board.
That's nice. I don't have Sci-Fi, so I haven't seen this yet. Hopefully I'll get to see it maybe on a little bit of a delay online.
The first episode was put on YouTube. I posted it on the Discord, so you can check that out anytime you want.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin, it is very much a case of been there, done that. That's true. The premise is not what got me excited. What got me excited was, two things. One is the premise is an interesting premise, and I am fascinated by watching people try to tell stories in this sort of a universe, right, where people are coming back from the dead. We've had so many shows like that I've seen it done many, many ways. I wanted to see what these people did and how they did it differently. And, with one episode, we can't really tell for sure how different it is or how the same it is. But it was nice to see actors that were familiar. I very much enjoyed actually seeing David James Elliott, who played Harm from the CBS series Jag, playing Melanie's character's father, the sheriff. I thought that was pretty cool casting. I've missed him since Jag. I know he's done a couple other things, but I haven't really been watching those. And I did find that at least they had an interesting twist at the end. At first, when Melanie's character was in the car with her sister, I was like, wow, this seems familiar. This is just kind of Winona Earp again, younger sister, older sister sort of thing going on. But the twist at the end was not expected, that the sister, I'm sorry for Wendy if she's going to watch this, but the sister had died and was revived, and the family didn't know. Melanie's character didn't know that she died. She just went missing for a while, and then she came back after the revival, and they just assumed she had just, gone off somewhere or kind of run away sort of thing, and then came back. But to find out that she had died and revived, and she's trying to figure it out. It's like a mystery for her. She wants to figure out how she died, who killed her, because she knows somebody killed her. And so she's trying to figure that out. So that is intriguing. And the characters are acted very well. They're written decently. I didn't roll my eyes at anything. So I'm on board to see where it goes.
Yeah, and for folks maybe like Wendy or others, if you don't have Sci-Fi or access to Sci-Fi in whatever you have from your streaming and cable providers, Sci-Fi has been, for most of their shows recently, no guarantee, putting up like the first 2 or 3 episodes on their YouTube channel. So, I mean, if you at least want to be checking it out, see what it might look like. And also for Revival, the episodes are going to be available 1 week after they air on Sci-Fi on Peacock. So if you have a Peacock subscription, which is only a couple of bucks a month, you could watch it there too. So it's nice to see some of these producers or networks giving you a couple different ways to try out the shows. But, yeah, as far as Revival, it's going to be how do they settle into this? I mean, from what we've seen early in this episode and some of the promotional material, part of this is the idea that since you can't tell who's a reviver just visually, you're naturally going to have some folks in this town, since it's all very focused on a single town, who don't want to deal with any of them, think they should be somehow ostracized or marked or whatever. So you're going to have some social impacts to this along with the individual stories. So that's why I say it'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
Yeah. And how about that they have situations like that, the old woman who apparently dug her dead
God, yeah.
husband up. He died like a day before the revival, and she dug him up and was sitting him in the kitchen, and it was like, come on, he's going to come back. He's going to come back.
Yeah, he was always early, so it's okay. He was, a day earlier than this started. Like, oh my goodness.
Not coming back later.
Yeah, like I say, a little bit of dark humor, so we shall see. All right, well, speaking of humor, Wendy is going to lead our discussion for the first 2 episodes of Season 4 of Resident Alien.
Yeah, Resident Alien came back with quite a few twists. The biggest one being, which we knew Harry had been left behind, and the mantid shapeshifter had body swapped with him. But we got the little backstory on how it happened, and of course it was pizza involved, pepperoni. I loved that Bridget was telling Harry, don't do it, and he got duped by the mantid posing as the pizza guy, and it was fun to see Harry, not dealing well with what had happened to him in the moon prison, and he's definitely dumber than he was. And we learn over the course of the first episode and then the second that Harry seems to be only human, and he actually has had his alienness removed by the gray aliens. We also learned that in the time that has passed, Asta has been shagging Joseph, the hybrid gray alien, half gray alien. And Darcy kept the baby, which we knew, and she's forming maybe an unhealthy attachment because this child eventually is going to go to Mayor, Ben, and Kate at some point. We also have a lot of fun with Liv and Sheriff Mike, who is in complete denial about his alien experience, and she keeps on trying to get him to see the truth. She's also helping Terry O'Quinn, the father of the guy who was kidnapped a long time ago by the Greys, who's with Harry. And I apologize, I forget his name, the character's name. So the first episode is, will anybody notice? And it's pretty obvious that Harry's messed up between his smoking, and he's basically kind of an extra jerk. The mantid is definitely not a good guy at all. And he certainly enjoys Harry's cabin. The kids, as I mentioned, Max immediately recognized that he was not Harry. And of course, the little girl comes up with the brilliant, story about why they were screaming, and then they get away, and, they're kind of stalking him. So that was all really well done. I was glad that we came up with Bruce, the alien prison guard who really wanted to go to Earth and help them break out, so we didn't have a long period to wait for that. And then when Harry gets to Earth, he's really discombobulated. So there was a lot of funny stuff happening between Alan Tudyk as the Mantid and Bridget. I think it was very funny, especially in the second episode when Bridget is the one like, I'll protect the kids and you need to man up and figure out how to protect yourself. Harry's very vulnerable. He doesn't really know how to deal with what's happened to him and embrace his humanity. It's kind of sad in a lot of ways because, he's needing to cling a lot to Asta and Darcy, who aren't really having any of it. And then Kate is sort of been superpowering herself, but she's not been taken back because the Greys know that the baby isn't there. So she isn't getting kidnapped when she was hoping to. And we have Ben running around in a Nixon mask, trying to be Deep Throat and leaving messages for Liv about Joseph's back. That was interesting. The whole idea of Asta having a relationship with Joseph was an interesting turn. That really turned because he shows up and he's like, he thinks he needs to, really go super romantic and propose to her and bring a kid with a violin. And he even starts spouting quotes from When Harry Met Sally at her. And then finally has a wonderful conversation after he's been shredded by fighting with the Mantid, that the reason that he is so attached to her is because he felt like a good person around her. And she said, no, it's what you do that makes you feel that way. It's not her. And his last good deed before he leaves town was to leave a note for Ben about the baby. And Darcy took the baby to the reservation to keep it safe from the Greys, but now we'll have Ben and Kate on the hunt for the baby continuing on Earth, which was an interesting turn. It was also funny that they chose to do a little homage to the Incredible Hulk at the end when he's leaving town, when Joseph is leaving town. He used to hitchhike out of town, and it was always sort of bittersweet to see him, leaving by himself. The title of this episode was The Lonely Man, and that was true for several of the men in the story this week. We also had the sheriff, though, finally admit to the possibility of aliens when he discovers Terry O'Quinn in the cave. And, he's trying to, convince him that, he knows about aliens because his son was taken by one. So this was good. It felt a little setup-y, but, and it wasn't quite as laugh out loud funny as some episodes of Resident Alien are, but it was very entertaining. And now we have the Mantid in another body, because once Joseph confronted him, he fled. And so that will be interesting to see how things proceed with this, I'll call it Mantid on the loose, as well as Harry trying to figure out how to get his alienness back.
Yeah, I think they did a kind of a cute job after they'd been away for a while, and three of the cast members changed dramatically their appearance, not just Max and Sahar, but Deputy Liv also lost a ton of weight, and I love how they didn't just have her suddenly be skinny or skinnier. They suddenly had her in a really baggy original uniform, and she's like, have you not noticed that I need this uniform? It doesn't fit anymore. You need a new uniform? To Sheriff Mike is like, no, I haven't noticed anything. Yeah, he's just so dense. In fact, you mentioned believing in aliens at the end. I love the line where he finds the gray goo where the gray was, and he's like, "Damn, I believe in aliens now."
Yeah,
just great stuff with the comedy, little bits here and there on the show. It's not slapstick. It's not like laughing out loud constantly sort of show, but it has a lot of funny bits and a lot of funny moments. And yeah, the whole kind of prison cell sequence from the beginning of the first episode was funny in that regard. Alan Tudyk just still does a great job, and I didn't detect him being any dumber. His character Harry just always seemed to be a little, obtuse, and it just seemed to be the same to me. But the not being able to be an alien thing, and then learning that it was taken from him, and he needs to figure out a way to get it back, and the only way that they'll give it back is if he gives them something more important or that they want. And I love his attempts at getting the prison guard, as you say, Gray, back to them and the guard is just dissolving in his bag, and he's like, no, I need you. I need to trade you. Funny stuff. And then giving him the semi-Viking funeral, pouring the goo into the water at the end for the Gray. But that Gray was a funny character too. A lot of good stuff in here. The show is back. There are still some sequences and some relationships I don't care that much about. Honestly, I don't think I care that much. I mean, I care about the baby, right? I care about Ben and Kate getting their child back. I do. But I don't care about this long drawn out process of keeping it a secret and Darcy's struggles with. I don't care about that part. I do feel sorry for Kate, especially with all she's been going through. But and then there's some other relationships that you come and touch on, like the sheriff and his girlfriend. I don't really care about that stuff. I want more of Harry and Asta and I want the kids. I say the kids are like 15 now, teenagers, Max and Sahar, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's still Resident Alien. So if you enjoyed the show before, you're going to continue to enjoy it.
Yeah, it was an excellent start to the season. I mean, you two have covered virtually everything that happened, and why we love this show. I mean, I thought certainly season 3 was just a banger beginning to end from the comedy side. And I did have, for me, knee-slapping moments. It's not the nature of the show, but between Alan Tudyk and this crazy group of the ensemble, it definitely had some of that. And probably for me in these 2 episodes, in terms of what might have been a knee-slapper for me, was the scene where Joseph was sitting there after he had been shredded by the mantid, and talking to them in the living room, and they're all telling him to turn his head so they don't have to look at how bad he looks as he's trying to, open up his heart and share something. So, they still find a way to make it very funny. But this show is great in the sense of it's a comedy, but they keep the story elements all moving. Yeah, sometimes there's a little extra in some of the stuff they're trying to cover, probably from a point of view of trying to see what's going to, what works, what hits, in terms of which one of those relationships or side stories to go with. So I expect some of them won't be quite as valuable to me or as things I look forward to, but I got to give them credit for trying and always keeping it moving. So we're off to an excellent start, I think, for the season.
Yeah, there was the scene where Liv goes to see the sheriff and his girlfriend, and they're describing all this disgusting stuff while they're eating. She's just looking at them with horror, like, how can you be talking about this? And they're getting like more and more, enthralled with their own disgusting details. So to me, it was funny because it was almost romantic how they both were on the same page of their, obsession with that. And I didn't mention at the very end, we had Linda Hamilton. She had used the time portal to go back in time and find something on a beach in Maine. So hopefully we'll find out what that's all about too.
We did find out what that's about. That's Harry's device. He said that he's going to try to get his device back from her and give it to the Greys to get his alienness back, right? Oh, yep.
Yeah, insert Harry saying, dun dun, and then you're all set. Good stuff. All right, well, the last show we're going to talk about on this podcast is going to be me, since my co-hosts have not seen yet, but I did get an opportunity to check out and watch the first 2 seasons of Severance on Apple TV. And I won't go into spoilers for the sake of any of you listening if you haven't seen it yet, because I really want to encourage people to. I thought this was outstanding. I'm so glad I took the plunge to get Apple TV, and this was something I had an interest in, and boy, did it pay off in a big, big way. And now I get why, season 1 was nominated for like a dozen Emmys, from both acting to cinematography to directing and everything else. This is just top-notch stuff. Very interesting story. From the trailer, you get the idea that we live in a time in this world where the folks are able to have a medical procedure whereby they can basically become someone else in the sense of have their memories severed once they enter this corporation, the Lumen Corporation, to do their job. So if for any reason you've, having a bad life and you don't want to have to be depressed or deal with something there, they walk into actually it's an elevator, to go to your floor to work, and boom, you are unaware of what happened before. So you basically have two different consciousness living in the same person. They're referred to as the innies and the outies. And it creates some very fascinating characters and a set of actors that are doing a wonderful job playing at least two characters because they each have distinctive personalities. And the group dynamic is also very fascinating. So this is one of those shows where it's like an onion as you're peeling back the story of what's going on and why some of these people chose to be like this and what the corporation is doing. You've got it all here. I mean, to me, it brought back memories of shows like Lost, is from a mysteries point of view. Also Dollhouse, the idea of consciousnesses and what goes with that. If any of you were gamers in the 90s, you might remember a game called Myst, where you basically just wandered around sometimes in places, no action. And I think this show has a bit of that Myst vibe in that you can watch an entire episode and it'll only take place in one room or with two characters. But you're fascinated by seeing what's going on because the performances are really top-notch in the writing. I mean, this idea of what this is and what it means and the way it's played out over the two seasons is fantastic. I mean, you're looking at concepts like class disparity, worker exploitation, slave labor, but it's done in a way of caring about these people, who they are as they're discovering who they are. And naturally, is there an evil corporation or is there a corporation trying to help humanity? And you've got some ancillary characters that are fantastic and even add more to it. The visuals are outstanding. The cinematography, like I said, they do all kinds of things. It's been fascinating watching some behind the scenes stuff with this. So I'm trying not to give too many details because I really want to highly recommend this to folks to take a look at. If you enjoy this idea, it's, a bit of a dystopian sci-fi, alternate future maybe. There's some other tidbits in here that make you think it's not taking place maybe on our world or in our timeline. Who knows? Hasn't been totally revealed yet. I mean, it has been renewed for season 3, so we definitely have more coming. The last thought to share was an excellent one in terms of watching some very helpful YouTube videos, digging deep on Easter eggs and what this could mean and fan theories, because this is definitely a show where there's a million fan theories. Some of them have come true, some have not. Some are still pending. It's interesting to see what might go. But one of the people who did look at it shared some interesting stuff. I think it really hit the nail on the head for this show. They said, you can have a show where you'll watch something and something happens and you'll go, oh my God, no way. That, I never would have thought of that. Cause, sometimes, writers and showrunners are just pulling from nowhere to make something just to try to make the show seem, relevant or interesting. But the thing they said here is it's not, oh my God, no way, when you see something that really catches you. It's, oh my God, of course, now I get it. Some of the things I didn't understand before are now coming into focus. So it rewards you for being an attentive viewer, for really paying attention and going all in with the characters. I know Wendy had mentioned having maybe tried an episode or wasn't sure if it was for her, and some folks had mentioned that a certain episode is the one where things turn. I'm not sure I'd agree with that, but I get why they mentioned a certain episode. I mean, it's very much a case of there'll be certain characters or certain things that happen, certainly over the course of the first half or so of the first season, where you'll probably attach to something and just be so invested you have to see where that goes. And that's definitely what this show is.
Well, that's good to hear because I watched at least the first 2, if not the first 3 episodes, and I just was not interested in what was going on. And I wasn't interested in the characters. And so I'm very glad to hear this from you, Kevin. You've convinced me to try again. I'm moving Severance up to the top of the watch list now, and I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, I'll be very curious to hear when you do get a chance there. Let me know, because there's just some fascinating stuff that develops, and it rewards you. It really does as it goes on longer in terms of some of those characters and some of the things that happen to them. And kudos to a very well thought out show and the way they reveal some of these things. So, but it's not for everyone. I get it. It's not action. It's very, in some cases, very detached almost. Sterile is a phrase people will say. I mean, the way they've consciously chosen to make you feel when you're watching a lot of what's going on when they're at their desks at Lumen, the company name where they work. So you do have to kind of be willing to go with that. And as they start to spend more time with the characters outside of Lumen, for me is when it get, this is going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. So it does reward you, but again, it's not going to be a action-packed type thing to pull you in.
I will keep you posted.
Awesome. Well, I think that will wrap us up for our conversations on shows and news for this episode. We appreciate you folks being here to go along with us, and always great to get a chance to chat with Wendy and Brent. So thank you again for being here, and we hope you all have a great week.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Catch you next time.
We'd love to hear our listeners voice thoughts and send us feedback. Call us at 706-927-8478. Stop by our tuningintoscifitv.com blog to record a SpeakPipe message, or check the show notes and leave us comments. From the blog, you can also find links to forum discussions and subscribe to our RSS feed. Call into our Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV Skype account and leave us a message. Be social with us on our Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV Facebook page, or follow us at Tuning Into Sci-Fi on Twitter.
The theme music for Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV is by Beatnik Turtle, used with permission. You've been listening to Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, episode 674, recorded June 16th, 2025.